Hey everyone, welcome to the USTC network. My name is Jamie. Today I'm going to change it up a little bit. If you're new to the channel, usually I do videos on my journey from being a company driver through lease purchase into owner operator and then owner operator with multiple trucks. But today I'm going to change it up a little bit. Like I said, I want to do a video on people that are thinking about being a truck driver. There's the reason I want to do this video because being in this industry as long as I have, there is a big turnover rate in the trucking industry, especially truck drivers. And there's a couple reasons for that, which I think the biggest two are. So when you talk to a recruiter at a major trucking company, they're going to tell you what you want to hear. They're not going to give you all the answers that you need to hear. And two, people get the wrong ideas in their head for some reason. So I'm going to try to clear some of that up. Now, I'm not saying my answers are all correct, but my answers are from my experience. So that being said, let's get into it. So like I said, so you thought about being a truck driver. A truck driver, in my opinion, when you first start out, all you are what we call steering wheel holders. You're a company driver. They tell you where to go, when to be there, everything. All you do is hold the steering wheel, press the gas, and get to where you're going, etc. When you first start out, your first year, sometimes even 2 years, those years are the worst because you don't have any experience, which means you have no weight to pull as far as pay, as far as loads, anything like that, or home time, nothing. So you're kind of at the mercy of your dispatcher and your carrier. And so you can expect when you first become a truck driver, 90% of the time, you can expect to be out at least 3 weeks. That's usually, you can find some that are 2 weeks, but majority of the time, it's 3 to 4 weeks. Right there in the middle, which is usually 3. Excuse me. And then pay is another big thing that causes people to leave. So when you first start out, pay wise, you're going to get bare minimum because in the trucking industry, it's all about experience. The more experience you have, the more pay you get. If I had to guess, I was a company driver, 11 years ago when I first started. Back then, as a brand new, fresh out of training company driver, I was probably making bring home between $500 and $800 a week. And that, that's just, I think I was making, my first company was Use Express. I think I was making 32 cents a mile or something like that. It might have been like 28 cents a mile, something like that. It was crazy. And so that, that's, I'm not sure, 100% sure if that's still around the same, thing nowadays. It might be up a little bit. Maybe it's in the 30s now for good. But you can expect, I would say, still to bring home maybe $600 to $800 a week, which is really low in trucking. And there's some companies that are worse than that. I've heard some people say they bring home like $300 to $400 a week. And if that's one of you, you need to find a different company. That is ridiculous, and they're just taking advantage of you. Two, like I said, so the being out, which is for my 11 years of trucking, I love trucking. Loved it ever since I started it. But I knew what to expect. Luckily, my trainer, the person that got me into trucking, he had 20 years in. He told me how it was going to be. And that's why I created this channel, to help people understand better. And for people that wanted, mainly for the people that wanted to be owner operators, because that was my journey, and that's where I'm still. My goal is to be a big carrier, or not big carrier, but a carrier with 50 trucks or whatever. But so the two biggest thing in trucking are your away time and how much you're making. How much you're making can affect of how bad you feel about that away time. If you're making good money, the away time isn't so bad, even though it still sucks. And I would say that's the biggest hurdle for people when you become a truck driver, is understanding that you will be gone 3 to 4 weeks at a time, until at least most of the time is your 2-year mark. After your 2-year mark, you start making really good money as far as company drivers, and you get a little bit more seniority as far as home time, etc., which also depends on if you become a day cab driver where you're dedicated route, etc. And then if you get on a dedicated lane as an OTR driver, that your home time can change. There's a lot of little avenues that can change your home time / pay. But a plain Jane OTR driver, fresh out of school, you're going to be gone 3 to 4 weeks, no matter what. And like I said, your pay is going to suck, especially the first couple months. So I would have some saved up. If not, and you just want to wing it, that's fine. Let's see what else. Okay, so let's say say those two things don't bother you. Okay, so let's move on to the next issue people have in trucking. Say you're done school, say you do your training at your new carrier, and you're first getting out on your own. The trucking is not like any other industry or job out there. There's like my dad, rest his soul, he would call me and ask me where I was, and I tell him where I'm at, and so where are you going next? I would tell him I don't know yet, and it would drive him nuts that I didn't know where I was going at the time, especially as a company driver, because they don't tell you in advance of what next load you get unless you ask, and sometimes they don't even do that. So be prepared in trucking, especially as a company driver. There's going to be times that you sit. That's just the way trucking is. As you get further along in your trucking career, you'll start to understand why you're sitting. It's not just because your company's trying to screw you over. It's just the way, what we call the way freight moves throughout the country, etc. That's just the way it works, unfortunately. Now, when you're like me and you're an owner operator eventually, I'm in control of my own destiny. I don't have to rely on a dispatcher or a planner or any of those things, because I control all that. It's my responsibility, which, if you want to, I need to do a video on kind of that stuff too for owner operators. But anyway, so be prepared. There's some weeks are going to suck. It's just the way it is. You're going to have good weeks. You're going to have bad weeks. And you cannot take it out on your dispatcher, definitely, and the planners, because sometimes they don't have control of it. It's just the way the freight market is. So that being said, the number 3 mistake fresh truck drivers make is taking out their frustrations on their dispatcher or their fleet owner or the planners, which most of the time you only talk to the planners. But the other two, dispatchers and fleet owners, you do talk to. Do not take out your frustrations on them. If you're expressing a little bit that you're frustrated, things aren't going well, but do it in a constructive manner. How can we fix this, etc. Because if you burn that bridge, you will not be working there much longer. And if you do, your miles and everything will suck from there on out until that bridge maybe gets repaired. because your dispatchers and fleet owners, they dang near have your career, or your career at that carrier, in their hands. If you piss them off and cuss them out and all this stuff, they're not going to give you good loads. They're not going to give you good miles, etc. Or make sure you're home on time. And, all these things they control. So when you're a fresh truck driver, keep in mind that they're not trying to pick on you unless you have burned that bridge. Then it's a different story. But just keep in mind, they're working just like you. So try to treat them with some respect and dignity, and don't talk down to them. The better relationship you can create with them, and this is for anybody in trucking, especially for people like me, owner operators and stuff. The relationship I have with my brokers, because that's who I deal with directly. For if you're new to trucking, owner operators, we deal with the brokers directly, unlike a company driver does. So my relationship with my brokers are immaculate, because I'm to the point in my career where I don't have to look for loads anymore. I don't have to use a load board, etc., unless I'm in some place that doesn't have a whole lot of loads. Then I'll have to start searching, etc. But I'm to the point where the brokers call me if they have loads, etc., to see if I want them or if I'm in the area, etc. And that's because I build strong relationships and I respect them, I treat them nice, etc., even when things go wrong. And they remember that stuff. So relationships as a new company driver are extremely important. Let's see another. The fourth thing I would say that people hate or don't understand, etc., or don't think of when they first think about being a truck driver is traffic. You're going to deal with traffic 24 hours a day, whether it be on the road, whether it be at the shipper or receiver, whether it be at the truck stop, wherever. You're going to have to learn how to be, if you're not patient, you're going to learn how to be patient. Do not be in a hurry, because that's how accidents happen. The number one cause for new drivers that get in an accident is that they're in a hurry. Yes, you have a timeline that you have to be somewhere, etc., but you need to be making the right decisions during the day to make sure you're not in a hurry, putting other people's lives in danger. And yeah, you think, oh, that won't happen to me. Trust me, it does. Every single day across America, across the world, etc. Especially at receivers, shippers, truck stops. Everybody's trying to hurry to get fuel and get delivered back into a spot, and their lazy asses don't get out, especially backing in the spots and stuff. Their lazy asses don't get out and look. If you get out and look, it does not mean nothing. Doesn't mean you're a rookie or anything. As an owner operator, I get out and look because it comes out of my pocket if I hit somebody, etc. If you see somebody about to hit, say you're parked somewhere, and you see somebody else about to hit you or the person beside you, don't be afraid to lay on the horn. If they have a problem with it, so be it. Tell them to go screw themselves or whatever. But that's the biggest, like I said, one of the biggest things that people have issues with is traffic, and that the feeling of having to be in a hurry all the time. And you don't. I guess it's like I have it too. I'm not even gonna lie. But you have to learn how to control it. You don't have to be in a hurry as long as you're making the right decisions. And what I mean by the right decisions are things like I say I have to deliver at 10 p.m., right? And I'm a couple hours away. Well, I have a choice to make. Either A, I can wait until like the 3 minutes before I have to leave to get there on time, or I can give myself 45-minute window or an hour window, etc. In my experience, give yourself the hour window. Don't be lazy, and especially if it's sometimes it's gonna be early mornings. You're gonna have to be there, 5 a.m., 4 a.m., whatever. Don't wait until you're right on time to get there, because eventually it's going to catch up to you and you're going to be late for a pickup, late for a drop, etc. And so, like, as an owner operator, if I'm late, it falls back on me and I get in trouble. Sometimes they take money back. So just keep in mind, you're going to have to learn how to manage your time and be patient. Another problem, probably doing your inspections and stuff on your truck. If you don't do your inspections like you're supposed to on your truck and catch things before they become major, you're going to be sitting in a shop all the time. Just that's the way it works. You might not think that you checking things on your truck is going to catch something, but it does. Especially the PMs and the just went blank. PMs and the DOT inspections. You might not think they're checking anything, but because they only take 10 minutes or whatever, but they are checking stuff. So the more stuff they find at those points means the less time you're spending in the shop at other times. And that's just the way it is. So, and when that does happen, there's nothing you can do about it. Try to be patient. Usually, major carriers, when you're first starting out, major carriers, they do things lickety split because they have the money. Once you get further in your career and you're working for smaller carriers / owner operators like myself, they can. Major issues with trucks can, the timeline can differ, for those carriers, just depending on their situations, etc. So just keep in mind patience when the truck breaks down, and try to catch things before they happen. Now, if your carrier is just not caring, then that's all you can do. And if something happens and it's major and your truck goes down and they're wanting you to sit for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a week's fine. 2 to 3 or 2 and more, go somewhere else, or tell them you want a new truck or you're going somewhere else, etc. Do not be afraid to stand up for yourself with these carriers, because all you are to them is a number. US Express, Swift, all those major carriers, you're just a number. You're just a 2 hands in a truck. They could care less. They have dime a dozen. Well, not so much nowadays. Trucking is kind of, back when I started 12 years ago, whatever it was, major carriers, that was pretty much it. You had major carriers, and then you had a couple owner operators here and there. Now it's went away from major carriers to the smaller companies, to fill the gap a little bit, and then a lot of owner operators, which a lot of it's due to COVID. Let's see what else. Anything else? I think that's about it. Like, if you have any questions, feel free to comment. I answer all my comments. I usually do it within most of the time it's within 10 minutes. Let's see. If you have any questions, like I said, comment. I'll put my email for the company in the description. You feel free to reach out to me there. I think that's about it, guys. Like I said, if you're new to the channel, usually I do all my videos I have been from when I was a company driver through 2 lease purchase programs to becoming an owner operator, and then owner operator with multiple trucks. Which right now I had 3. One went down, so I'm down to 2, and then eventually I'll add a third and a fourth again down the road. But yeah, feel free to like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Reach out for any questions, or if you guys that been in this industry for a while think I missed something, feel free to put it in the comments. But yeah, till then, till next time, guys. See ya.